This is the Dzogchen Sunday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For multiple decades, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. It is Yoda early Monday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including people. Yes, even meditation teachers. That suckiness could look like Yang's religious or irreligious patriarchy, that conditions people to habitually indulge their rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel tendencies. It is these rigid and controlling folks who implore their students to actively focus and analyze. The problem with that is that doing so, excessively doing so, can so exhaust both our medial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortices that it triggers our amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression. To sidestep this bear trap, let us emulate the archetype of an enthusiastic piano student who is so enthralled with his keyboard and his score that he merely holds the sound of his metronome in passive peripheral awareness. Thus, as we passively notice our chest swelling with breath, let us silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And as we feel our chest subtly sink as gently we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the verb ease. Let us now explore the mechanics of mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we've evolved to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, which functions as the core of our sympathetic nervous system. It has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice all mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. All of them, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the convenient to the arduous, from the glorious to the grotesque. But what are we to do with all this stuff that we noticed? Why we meditate, of course. You see, every time we exhale, we are already wired to automatically access both the tippy top and the very bottom of this same spinal cord. These two regions, working as a team, function as the core of our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and as non-graspable as a vast empty void. It would seem that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. Therefore, we must ask the question, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand? And so it seems that both no-self and emptiness are merely figures of speech describing the fleeting experience latent within each exhalation. This release is only fleeting according to the intricacies of our own autonomic nervous system. Then why bother? In a word, enlightenment. Despite the ravings of elitists, what if enlightenment was something simple, something easy, something attainable? What if enlightenment was simply mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what is mastery? As children, we mastered the skills. Well, first of all, what is mastery? Once we have mastered a skill, we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. As children, we mastered the skill of using the toilet instead of our pants. We mastered the skill of brushing our teeth, tying our shoes, riding a bike, and even reading, writing, and arithmetic. What if mastery is easier than we have been taught? The seventh and eighth folds of the path are simply the mindfulness and meditation of noticing and relaxing. Simply by sitting and breathing and noticing and relaxing once every 12 hours or so, in a very short period of time, we cannot help but notice, change, how things cease to remain permanent or defining or solid, simply by sitting and breathing and noticing and relaxing. Our autonomic nervous system can not only calm the anxiety and aggression of our amygdala, but gently stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, to such a degree that we cannot help but practice greater kindness of intention, kindness of communication, kindness of conduct, and kindness of commerce. Now, and the intention to be kind is great, but how are we to know what the kind thing is to do, how to do it, when to do it, upon whom to do it, and for how long to do it? Simply by sitting and breathing and noticing and relaxing. Our choices and utterances and deeds flow not from contrived calculations nor from wild scatteredness, but instead from love's deeply centered spontaneity. This is known by many names, such as right effort, or effortless effort, or doing without doing, or wu wei, or going with the flow, or being in the zone, or expedient means, or the Buddha nature, that is, Tathagata Gotapa. Perhaps that is why the Buddha taught that one could master his path in as little as 7 days, according to the penultimate passage of the Satipatthana Sutta. The moment you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques that support meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about once every 15 minutes or so. We can time the most efficient way for us to non-neurotically time our meditation is to organize it in sets of 13 rounds. A round being one inhalation, wherein we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and one exhalation, wherein we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, ease. Let us explore our first set of 13 rounds. We'll begin with the first bonus round. We keep track of that by touching the tip of our left middle finger to the lower knuckle of our right middle finger. We hold our hands palms up in our lap. Working with our middle fingers causes our subtle energies to coalesce in our chest. Now, this is our go-to energy strategy with 3 provisos. If you find yourself on the precipice of a meltdown, or you find yourself at night wanting to fall asleep, or you find yourself on the precipice of death, then if you can, I recommend replacing your middle fingers with your index fingers. But since right now we are safe and sound sitting before our computers, let's work with our middle fingers. Now let us count an additional 12 rounds. To do that, let us draw our attention to our right hand. Every time we feel ourselves inhaling, let us advance our right thumb across the sets of creases, beginning with the lower set of creases of our right little finger and concluding with the higher set of creases on our right index finger. Together, let us practice right now. Our first collection of 13 rounds takes approximately less than 2 minutes. Therefore, if you would like to meditate for between 15 to 20 minutes, I recommend collecting 13 sets of 13 inhalations each. We've already completed our first set. Now for our next set, let us turn our attention to our left hand. Place the tip of our left thumb on the lower set of creases of our left little finger, and then perform our bonus round. To collect our 12 rounds, we return our attention to our right hand. To track our next collection of 13 rounds, we return our attention to our left hand and advance our left thumb. And now that you get the basic idea of how this works, let's return our hands palms up to our lap. It is not our job to chase or flee that which comes up in meditation. It is merely our job to notice and relax in harmony with our breathing. We play with the words this and ease, not to coerce our autonomic nervous system to notice and relax, for that would be redundant, as our autonomic nervous system has evolved to always be running in the background like a forgotten application on your smartphone. Why then do we play with the words this and ease? To remind our intention, our volition, our will, to take a relaxing break from the exhausting habit of actively competing against our own autonomic nervous system. We have two reward systems in our brain: a survival-oriented reward system and a good neighbor-oriented reward system. One that focuses on anxiety, aggression, and another that focuses on empathy and cooperation. There's nothing wrong with having a survival-oriented aspect of our brain. The problem comes when it becomes our default mechanism, when it becomes our North Star, that by which we navigate life. For our dopamine-oriented reward system does not lead to fulfillment or satisfaction. It keeps us always wanting more, and that's useful. We don't want to be satisfied with one breath, lest we die. We don't want to be satisfied with only one glass of water our entire life, or we will die. Um, we don't want 100% of the population to be disinterested in reproduction, or our species will die. We don't want to be so dissatisfaction is integral to our survival. But if we're going to have a fulfilling life, we want the oxytocin-oriented reward system and our anterior cingulate gyrus to team up, make us empathetic and cooperative. This is what adds meaning to life. And this is why we practice the Eightfold Path, to get good at the skills that help us to reconcile our two reward systems in a sustainable and fulfilling manner. Many a naive meditation student has pronounced that they have perfected the realization of emptiness and that nothing exists. They have sacrificed mindfulness on the altar of emptiness. This is the trap of many a young fool. And the question is not whether they lie, but to whom do they lie? To other meditators or to themselves? For pseudo-spiritual double talk does not a Buddha make. And just because we deny conventional reality does not mean we can know our ass from a hole in the ground. The Buddha's Eightfold Path requires both the seventh and eighth folds, both mindfulness as well as meditation, both noticing as well as letting go. Just as we require both inhalation as well as exhalation, similarly, we require both mindfulness and the meditation wherein we viscerally and effortlessly taste of emptiness. to keep track of our next collection of 13 sets of 13 rounds, let us slide the tip of our left middle finger up the back of our right middle finger, all the way up until we come to the middle knuckle, and then replicate the behavior we practiced during the first set or the first collection. Having sat for the better part of an hour, we might find it refreshing to knock out 8 senior citizen squat thrusts. If you wish to join me, I'll take a moment or two to swing the computer around. Okay, here we go. Whew. Well, that'll wake you up first thing in the morning. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. In approximately 10 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's desk practice of Meditate Like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.